Wednesday night, March 24th. Thanks for tuning in here to Wrestling Eggs. We have another Wednesday Night Wars at us. We had chaos going on in AEW, bodies flying everywhere, promos on fire in NXT as they're on the road to TakeOver. A lot to discuss here tonight. I'm Justin LaBar alongside Alfred Konuwa. You can read him on Forbes.com. And returning after a few weeks, the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I wish it was a few weeks, but it was only like a week and a half technically.
Well, we haven't had you the last 2 Wednesdays, so that's 2 weeks for us.
Oh, okay.
It's good to see you back, Matt.
But
It's not like forever.
This is my favorite show night to cover, though, for what it's worth.
Oh, there you go. Well, we know we're good company. We appreciate the shout out. All right, so I know a lot of times we start with AEW, but you know what we're going to do? We are on the road to TakeOver. We've seen a lot of chatter about NXT and want to get that kind of in the front spot here. So I'm going to let Alfred go ahead and drive, as Raj would say, and let's talk NXT tonight first, guys.
Let's talk NXT. We opened with a tag team match between Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai taking on Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. It was a good match, lots of high flying toward the end. The finish came with Raquel Gonzalez. She has Zoe Stark up in that choke bomb finisher that she has, and while she has her up, she kicks Io Shirai off the apron and then hits the choke bomb, beats Zoe clean. They stare each other down. After the match, while they're facing off, Dakota Kai distracts Io, which allows Raquel Gonzalez to maul Io Shirai and then do a choke bomb again, this time on the table. She didn't go through the table. So Raquel Gonzalez stands tall in this opening segment.
To choke bomb and do what she did was very impressive. Very impressive. I never Cornette always used to, and Jimmy Cornette used to basically agent a lot of my TNA matches. He knows my moveset. He knows basically everything about me. But there'd be times where he'd want me to put somebody in a Davey Boy position, up on my shoulder here like this, or whatnot, while throwing the big boot or catching a guy in a cross body and big booting the other charging at me. And it is not easy. It's really not easy. Your knee can go out. Your leg can go out. Your ankle can be rolled. Lots of things. So when I saw her do that, I was like, damn, she is a stud athlete besides being a good worker.
Yeah, this match shaping up to be obviously one of the ones they're featuring obviously for TakeOver, and I'm looking forward to it. This all things point towards. I think this is Raquel's moment. It's coming here. I think a title win. Early on prediction here for me. I think Raquel getting the title is probably pretty well decided at this point.
And this will be your main event for night one, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We go backstage, and I actually love this. We get Adam Cole pulling up on Kyle O'Reilly while he was training jiu-jitsu. Kyle O'Reilly shoots in quickly, takes him down. It was a pull-apart brawl, and they're just cussing at each other and getting pulled apart. I like this because it was just an upgrade from what the last kind of pull-apart was when they were doing that cops thing that seemed kind of cartoonish to me. But what did you guys think about this?
Go ahead, Joseph.
Like you said, we kind of laughed at the cops thing last week with the lights and the cursing and everything. But this is good, maybe a little the security cam footage, but I'm fine. There's a lot of emotion and rawness behind it. It's not something they don't often show security footage of anywhere outside the WWE grounds. So I was good with something different. It's obviously this is again a key match. This is what we're finishing the night with. So fine with these attempts to add more personal touch to it.
I honestly don't care. I don't care. I haven't cared about those other 3 members of that group for so freaking long. So, let's say he does somehow beat, he somehow wins, right? It's even then, I'm not going to start taking him any more serious and be like, oh, he's going to be a main event talent on the main roster. It's coming. There's nothing. I don't know. I mean, no disrespect. He can't grow 3 inches all of a sudden. Put on 20 more pounds of muscle, and that's just the physicality part of it. As far as character goes, I don't know. I just don't care.
I know what you mean, Matt. I think the best thing that could happen for Kyle O'Reilly, because I agree, if he goes to Raw or SmackDown, no disrespect to him, but he's going to get lumped into 24/7 conga lines in a matter of weeks. But I think what could happen is if he does go over and if he does beat an Adam Cole at TakeOver, then maybe that's Cole's swan song in NXT. Maybe at least Kyle O'Reilly can try to be the bigger fish in the smaller pond of NXT. Maybe he can be a regular.
Really? Can I ask you a question? What would be the difference between him and Finn Balor?
Yeah, well, you're right. You're right. It wouldn't be same size stature, but at least at least Kyle O'Reilly can go from being second fiddle guy in the Undisputed Era to where he can maybe he leads his own stable. You know what I mean? But I think it's only in the NXT pond.
Because I'll be clear, I don't think Finn Balor is the top dog in that company. I do not. I don't see him that way.
Well, we'll get to his promo here in a moment.
Yeah, his days might be numbered for all we know.
$5 super chat coming from Brett Murphy. He said, welcome back, big fella. Both shows were awesome. Matt, did you watch any college wrestling championships last Saturday? Love seeing Ferrari and Stevenson.
Absolutely. I actually did. I watched it from the gym, actually. Yeah, very, very good stuff. Kid from Carolina is very impressive.
So while you were talking about you didn't like the Undisputed Era members, Matt, I'm sure you didn't like this next segment because we got Roderick Strong. He's trying to convince Kyle O'Reilly that they both need to beat up Adam Cole together, and Kyle just says no. So Roderick Strong says, both you guys can go to hell.
Ooh.
Wow. Breaking out the bars there.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Stella Justin Lopez, $1.99. Cole and O'Reilly should be loser leaves NXT. That's what I said last week, and I thought that's what we would get. That seemed like that would be, NXT can't contain both these men. I thought that's where we would get, but we'll get more on the stipulations.
Bro, my backyard could contain both of those men.
Toronto Shaw, $5. Welcome back, Matt. Really great promos from Cole and O'Reilly. Love the line. Kyle said, "I've sold my soul for the Undisputed Era, and I want it back." Yeah, it was a strong ending, and a night that was good promos here for NXT. As we'll get to that segment here shortly.
Yeah, well, we got into a couple more promos. One from LA Knight, says the ruler is here, just cutting a short promo before his match. And then we get a promo from Jordan Devlin, who says that he likes Kushida, but he's at the wrong place at the wrong time. This leads us to Bronson Reed versus LA Knight. Reed dominates early. Knight comes back. This is a pretty long match. The finish came when LA Knight did that kind of Shelton Benjamin jump up to the top ropes, gets pushed back down. And then Bronson Reed hits a tsunami and beats LA Knight clean in the middle of the ring.
Complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. Anybody WWE watching, you're an idiot. Whoever booked that for LA Knight to be losing any matches, you should be fired. You are an absolute imbecile. He's a main event talent waiting to happen with your company. You buffoons.
Justin?
On a calmer note, I was surprised as well that Drake or Knight, excuse me, lost this soon. I mean, I like Bronson Reed. I love that finish, but yeah, I did not see this coming to be a clean loss. His third week there or whatever it is.
You want some more sound bites? Bronson Reed could not main event my fundraiser event that I'm having on April 10th at the Sanford International Airport, where I'm raising money for the Hope and Healing Center for opioid addicts. He couldn't main event that. Want to know why? Because I'm on it. At 44.
Well, listen, I will say I'm a huge fan of Bronson Reed. I like Bronson Reed a lot, and I was actually kind of worried that he was going to lose this match because, LA Knight is still very new, and they're still talking him up as being a superstar, a megastar, whatever they're saying. Yep. So I was very surprised to see him lose this match this early.
Because it's not logical. You don't bring in a stud like that and beat him. That's so stupid. This is like what they did with Nakamura, Bobby Roode, the list goes on, except when they take the NXT talents and bring them to the main roster. And they beat them too quickly. This was idiotic on just biblical proportions. I'm not overrating LA Knight one iota when I say he's a main event act waiting to happen. And they're going to screw the pooch with him. I hope they don't. And for those that say, they're probably testing him. He went to wrestle for the competition. Really, Impact? Is it really a competition? For a little bit, he became a bigger name with a outside of WWE type of company. Maybe that's why. I don't give a crap what their reasoning is. It does not hold up. It doesn't hold water. It makes no sense. He has no holes in his game. No holes. Bobby Roode, I'm a huge fan of Bobby Roode. But Bobby could not hang with this guy on the microphone. Nobody on that roster can hang with this guy on the microphone. I would even argue 99% of our WWE, SmackDown, and Raw roster could not hang with this guy on a microphone. I don't understand why you'd beat him. Bronson Reed, you guys are really liking him. Would you pay money for Bronson Reed? Would you pay money to go see him? If he's the only act on the show only, would you be more willing to see him or a guy who's going to get out there and make you laugh in promos or make you emotionally invest? One or the other. I would with LA Knight because he's going to make me care more about him and even his opponent. Because I've never cared about Bronson Reed one iota. I now kind of do because of his promos.
I mean, I agree. In terms of like, no, I'm not paying money for Bronson Reed yet. What I've liked about him is I like a big man of his size that moves the way he does. But to your, yeah, I'm just surprised.
Sure.
On just a random Wednesday, not even this isn't even a pay per view. They didn't even build
No,
for like months.
That's my point.
But what's more surprising is that this is NXT we're talking about, Matt. The things that you just said about when they screwed up booking from people in the past, that's usually once it gets to Raw or SmackDown, and we know that.
Right.
But I mean, like Triple H and company usually are much more linear and focused on their booking and their building of stars. I don't know if there's a story to this, but this was very shocking.
A couple of things, and one thing that was shocking to me especially is that after LA Knight lost, I'm thinking, okay, the guy's got to get his heat back. He's going to go after his leg or something. No, he just walks off, sulks off. They show him selling. There was no getting his heat back. And then also, I will say, yes, NXT is usually very good at linearly projecting people to the top and whatnot, but in recent months, they have not been good at that at all. We saw this in the opening match where Zoe Stark took another pin after she just started. They've done this video package for her, so she's already losing. Swerve Scott, remember he was kind of doing this heel run, and they did a video package for him. He's disappeared, and he lost to Leon Ruff just out of nowhere. So NXT's kind of been slipping up when it comes to new guys and introducing them and beating them way too early.
$5 Canadian from Jody Shauna Jenkins. Question: even though reaching Raw or SmackDown is clearly a goal for NXT members, do some of them watch what has happened up there and hope they don't go?
Yes, I'll answer that for you. Yes, I know a bunch of them. Yes, there's a lot of them. We've said a couple of their names so far that would prefer to stay on NXT.
Ciampa makes no apologies about the fact that he wants to be in NXT forever. And I think part of it is, I mean, he got a taste of the main roster, and you saw how they booked him. It was not very good. He was alongside Johnny Gargano, and he was in these weird segments. And so, I think, I know for a fact that Ciampa wants to be in NXT forever.
Yeah, but I can say I've come across, Matt, I'm sure you could probably agree with this. I have come across others, though, who they clearly see the mismanaging of booking that happens to their colleagues on Raw or SmackDown, but they have so much. Well, that's payday, yes, but they also have so much self-confidence in themselves, and you're taught to if you're going to get in this business, you want to go one place, WrestleMania, and so they have that feeling of like, I can be that one exception that I'm gonna break through the glass ceiling. So there are some that do believe that they have it in them and they can defy the odds.
There's more of them than don't. I want to be clear about that.
Yeah,
but I can give you a handful of them that would like to stay at NXT. Yeah,
sure.
Handful.
Yeah, and payday is a big thing. Let's not let that get lost in all of this.
So some sad news. We get the news that Danny Burch has a separated shoulder, and it's serious enough to where they have to vacate the NXT Tag titles. So we're going to get a triple threat match for the NXT Tag titles at NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. That's going to be between the Grizzled Young Vets, MSK, and Legado del Fantasma.
Okay, I like that. I mean, no offense to Burch. That's terrible. You don't want to see anybody get hurt. But this is good news for the tag titles, I'll be honest, in my opinion.
And this is good news for MSK.
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree. I want to see them win. I mean, I think these guys have superstar potential as tag teams. I haven't seen a tag team with this much potential in NXT for a long, long time.
Yeah, you don't make your debut in a dusty tournament and win the tournament without the management already then having in mind that we're going to get the titles on you. This is just going to accelerate that timeline.
Which is crazy because they didn't get much time with them. They've only seen tape of them. I'm sorry, as far as having them work in front of them and the decision makers, for them to move this quickly on them. It just sometimes goes to show you guys it is the luck of the draw sometimes. So just one of them waking up on the right side of the bed one day and saying, hey, you know what? These are our guys. We're going to go with them. It'd be a really cool shock to have a brand new team win this tournament. Who knows what their reasoning was? They're right, by the way. I agree with it. But sometimes you don't know.
Sure.
So we get Walter video package, just kind of introducing the television viewers to who he is in case they don't watch NXT UK. I thought it was good. Then we get Karrion Kross versus Oney Lorcan. So this match, it's about Oney Lorcan getting revenge for his partner. Karrion Kross separated his shoulder. This goes through a commercial break. It goes longer than I thought it should have been, who knows why. It ended where Karrion Kross, who's been selling his arm, hits a forearm to the back of the head to Oney Lorcan, wins the match. Afterwards, we get Finn Balor coming out. He steps over poor Oney Lorcan's body. But Karrion Kross beforehand said that, there's no stopping me. And then here comes Finn Balor saying that you need to master your emotions. You need to control your emotions. You're sloppy and vulnerable. And if you don't control your emotions, they will control you. Did you guys read into this anymore, or is it just me?
Tell me what you read into it.
The fact that he's calling him sloppy, saying it's the same thing's going to happen that happened last week, that they're kind of publicly shaming him for hurting another guy.
Oh, could be.
I didn't even think of that.
I
Really.
mean, now that you say it that way, at first I didn't take it that way, but now that you say that, it's in my head, and I could see it but you had to say it to me. First go around, I didn't pick up on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I took it, Alfred. I thought this promo was fire. I thought Finn's never overly impressed me on the mic, but this was one of the best things I saw.
This was pretty decent.
Yeah, his soundbite of, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to master your emotions, aka you are going to beat me, or the thing that I think is going to happen, I'm going to master your emotions, and I'm going to take you out of the cold water, and I'm going to drown you. Like this had fire. And what I took about the sloppy Alfred was I took it as Cross's emotions went nuts last week. And then he ended up costing his team being he and Finn, the win because he couldn't control, he couldn't get through the match, finish business, and then that's how I took it. But sometimes these are double entendres when they're trying to speak to things. So unless there's a little bit of backstage heat on Cross, I don't know of that. But unless there is, I didn't think anything of it. But now that you say that, who knows?
No, I will say that absolutely it was intended for somebody who's a layman who just watched the show. It was intended to be like what you said, where he's talking about his emotions got the better of him and they lost the match. You could easily see it that way. But I just thought between him just going forever with Oni Lorcan and having to sell for Oni Lorcan and then this promo was just very weird. And then Finn saying the same thing's going to happen that happened last week. It's like, Finn, you got your ass beat last week. That's what I thought about when he said that. And then I was just thinking, was he thinking about something else? But I'm really excited to see these two go one-on-one. I think they've done a very good job, just kind of lo-fi, having these two cut promos on each other, like two guys who think they're alphas.
On all three WWE brands, Karrion Kross is the one I look forward to each week to see the most. That's absolutely he's the one I turn the volume up the most and I focus on the most every time.
Box office. It's because he's box office.
So we get a William Regal announcement. This is a lot. So Regal announces that there's going to be a 12-man battle royal at NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1. The last 6 people remaining are going to be in a 6-man gauntlet eliminator. There'll be a fresh competitor every 3 minutes. The winner is going to face Johnny Gargano for the North American title on night 2. You guys got all that? So I'm going to just run down the guys who are going to be in this. It's going to be Jake Atlas, Swerve Scott, Leon Ruff, Austin Theory, Dexter Loomis, Tyler Rust, Kushida, Cameron Grimes, Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong, Bronson Reed, and LA Knight.
You don't see who this is going to be from a mile away?
Pete Dunne?
No.
Cameron
LA Knight.
Austin Theory.
Oh, I can see that. It's just weird that Pete Dunne is being thrown into this after, we've been talking for weeks about him saying, I'm going to face the best wrestler in the world. Could it be Daniel Bryan? It's like, no, he's going to get thrown into these. It's just weird.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. He's awesome. He I could watch all day.
I could see Cameron Grimes trying to pay off some people and trying to bump up his spot.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of paying off, we got to interject here. Speaking of paying off, we got to thank one of our wonderful sponsors for tonight's podcast, and that's Manscaped. And Manscaped will pay off for you on this spring break. That's right. It is COVID spring break happening now, and spring break in your pants. That's right. Veronica Corningstone wouldn't say no to this pants party. Please tell me you got the Anchorman references. I hope so. Well, Manscaped, you got to use the code INC, and you can get an exclusive 20% off discount. They've been a long time great supporters of us. We really stand by them. You see it right there, 20% INC. And, Manscaped dedicated to full body grooming, whether it be the Lawnmower 3.0, whether it's making you smell nice and all the other nice tools and kits they have. Manscaped.com. They are the best on the market. That's the 3rd generation trimmer, by the way. But you don't want to ruin a spring break. You don't want to get out there and be taking the shirt off, and all of a sudden you're just looking like a mess. Our own Alfred Konuwa, even he is the newest out of all of us. He is the newest customer, the newest client of Manscaped. He got hooked up, and Alfred's been keeping us abreast these last couple of weeks with his lady that he's been dating, and he's been putting the Manscaped to use. Alfred, I saw people asking in the chat, what is the update?
The update is good. Everything is fine. And now it's like I have a standard that I have to uphold. So, I can't go back. I can't let it all grow back out. Otherwise, there's going to be some complaints. So I've never been more aerodynamic. And, Justin was showing you everything. I'd like to show you this kit that I don't leave home without it. Because, when things open back up, there's going to be traffic. That's something to do in the 405 when I'm sitting in traffic. So this Manscaped stuff is incredible. Eye-opening. Thank you so much for these products.
Yeah, again, in addition to the trimmers, again, the shears that he was just showing Alfred was there. They had the crop cleanser body wash. They got the crop reviver ball toner spray on. They got everything. So again, 20% off plus free shipping using the code INC. Go to manscaped.com. Once again, 20% off free shipping, manscaped.com. Code INC to get hooked up. They've been a long time supporter of this podcast. We appreciate it. And now they're helping out Alfred's love life. So, I mean, what more do I need to really say? But thank you again to manscaped.com.
Thank you, Manscaped. We get a back into NXT. That was great, Justin.
Yeah,
I love that. That was incredible. We get back to NXT. We get Kushida. There's a promo says he accepts the match. Then we get Drake Maverick versus Walter, which this match is exactly what I thought it would be. Walter just ragdolls him, slaps on a half crab, wins this match in less than 30 seconds. Then Ciampa comes out. He challenges Walter for the title. Walter rips his necklace off, and then Imperium basically beats him down.
This is exactly what Walter needed to do. I love Drake Maverick, but this is what he needed to do. You know, Walter obviously just returning back to NXT here in the States after being overseas. And then, yeah, I mean, look, Ciampa, I mean, he had that psycho-ness looking at him, trying to go after Walter, and obviously he's being outnumbered. I'm here for this. I'm all for Walter Ciampa and the potentials. And to our point, real quick with Dunn, this is a super chat coming in from Combo Breaker 499. He says, "What if Vince called an audible to add Bryan to the SmackDown main event, which caused a change for Dunn?" That's, of course, on the assumption we all were kind of fantasy booking that maybe Daniel Bryan was going to go to NXT and work Pete Dunn. I mean, I guess, TakeOver and Mania aren't here yet, so I don't see it at this point.
Yeah, especially with Daniel Bryan. If you see how they've been booking the storyline with Edge for about the last month or so, I've been suspicious that they're going to do something with Daniel Bryan, at WrestleMania. So it seemed like they've had these plans to have Daniel Bryan be at WrestleMania for a while now.
Yeah.
Then we get a Pete Dunne promo. So he's just backstage saying that he's, repeating that he's the best wrestler in the world. He's going to prove it at that gauntlet. But I will say this is a very disappointing result from Pete Dunne because a lot of people thought that maybe he was going to face some big name, but that's not the case.
I mean, unless they go, okay, it's not going to be a big name, we're going to put a title on. I mean, unless he wins and gets into a title match for night 2 against Johnny and takes it. I mean, I guess, let's not count that out here. I mean,
sure.
I mean, Matt said Austin Theory makes a lot of sense, but field of 12.
That's a good point. We get a backstage segment with Robert Stone. So Jessica May got injured while training, so she's not going to be in this tag team title match tonight. Instead, we get Mercedes Martinez, who Robert Stone pays her off, but she says that he shorted her. She still is owed half after the match.
I love anything with Robert Stone on it.
Me too. He's been gone for a while, but now it's good to see him back.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of I get disappointed at times where I feel like he's not used as much, and NXT doesn't. They don't have a ton of managers. Well, I guess they have Scarlett, and then I don't know. But Robert Stone's just talented. I mean, I hope they use him a little more regular, and I want to see more. I want to see the Robert Stone brand really develop it out. Really, let's get some more clients for him.
Yeah.
Steve Marcachilli 499. He says more confident Cross future monster babyface on main route. More confident Cross. Should have had punctuation. More confident Cross is a future monster babyface or on main roster, or Cole main event heel run. So on the main roster, what do you think is more likely? Cross as the monster babyface, or Cole as the main event heel?
1,000% Cross as a monster babyface. I mean, Cole's good enough where he can overcome whatever you'd have to overcome, but I just don't think Karrion Kross has as much to overcome. And you could just tell that a lot of the guys who are on the main roster now. I mean, Randy Orton has been tweeting at Karrion Kross saying he wants to wrestle him. So I think the right people like Karrion Kross, and he's doing a good enough job that I think it's way more likely that he's a monster babyface.
Yeah, that's definitely that's the more automatic. We hope that Cole can make the main event, but that's the more automatic as Cross for sure.
So we get Johnny Gargano's backstage. He's not happy about this gauntlet. He says he's not going to have time to prepare. This is good because he repeats the rules, because William Regal said a lot of rules that I had trouble following. So Gargano comes out here and reiterates what that's going to be, and I like that. And then he says he needs a game plan. Regal, of course, denies him, and he walks out. He goes, "I'm not closing this door." I thought that was funny. Then we get Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon versus Aaliyah and Mercedes Martinez. This is a very short match. The finish came when they isolated Mercedes Martinez. Aaliyah is in the ring by herself. She takes a total eclipse, and Shotzi and Ember retain the titles.
Yeah, I didn't see the titles.
It was a quality match. This was good.
Yeah, I didn't expect any titles to change. I'll say this. Every time I see Mercedes from now, it's kind of like how I felt when Bryan first came back, Daniel Bryan, and when Reigns first came back. It's like we thought we lost we thought Brian was medically disqualified. We didn't know with Roman with this cancer scare, and like I appreciated him so much more. I am just so appreciative of Mercedes Martinez of her not being in freaking Retribution and having to go down that. But I'm so happy when I see her.
We got concussion, cancer, and then right under Retribution. No, I see what you're saying. I think the same thing to a degree. I was thinking that when I saw her in NXT, like, man, it could have been so much worse for her. And she got protected tonight, so you can't complain.
Yeah.
Cameron Grimes is backstage talking to Roderick Strong. He, of course, offers to buy the intellectual property of the Undisputed Era and gets knocked out for his troubles. Poor Cameron.
So stupid. It's funny.
I like when he goes up to, because he likes the Cameron Grimes, he goes up to Roderick Strong. So, then we go backstage, and it's Ember and Shotzi. They get confronted by Indy and Candice. So we're inevitably going to get a tag team title match on one of the nights between them. I don't know if they announced that. They announced a lot for tonight, but I don't think they've announced that yet.
No.
Then we get our wrestling main event, which is Jordan Devlin versus Kushida. This is a good match. They look good. Legado del Fantasma shows up. They kind of corner Devlin. Devlin gets out of it, ducks a double clothesline, throws Kushida in the Legado del Fantasma, and rolls him up for the win. Kushida is kind of protected because he's made to run wild on Legado del Fantasma. And then, of all people, Shawn Michaels, HBK, walks out, throws a ladder in the ring, doesn't say a word, and leaves. So now, as was suspected, we're going to get Santos Escobar versus Jordan Devlin for the Undisputed Cruiserweight title in a ladder match.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice little touch having HBK out there. I think, Alfred, we were talking about this last week. This had like that Razor Shawn, you got to unify the titles, who's the real champion. So Shawn coming out and doing that, not having to say a word, nice little touch. It'd be a good addition to, I think, which will probably be night one. Trying to keep straight which matches are which. But yeah, I like this. I'm in for it.
Yeah, I believe this will be on night one. But yeah, that's a great way to build this up. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. They're protecting these Cruiserweight titles, man.
This should not. You guys were okay with this being a main event, really?
It's not going to be the main event.
It was the last. No, it was the last wrestling match of tonight, is what he said before.
It wasn't the main event. When I thought it was the main event segment, I remember thinking like, man, they must be really throwing in the towel. But then I remember they still got Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. But with all due respect to these guys and their wrestling ability, this really is not worthy of being a main event to go up against AEW.
And the ladder match will dress it up and make it better come TakeOver. Chris Pantaleo, 499. Alfred, if your date says Retribution is her favorite wrestlers, do you leave her?
No, I would think that's very unique. That's kind of quirky. I like somebody who thinks differently. That'd be
I don't know.
That's a good question, Chris. Really, you guys would leave her? My goodness. So we get to the main event segment. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, War of Words. This is fantastic. Regal is pissed off, saying they embarrassed the company. He has this contract, says it's going to be a hold harmless contract. So that's going to be the stipulation, hold harmless, not a loser leave town. Cole said O'Reilly is a lapdog and a sidekick. O'Reilly counters by saying he's a better human being than Adam Cole, and Cole is the same a-hole. And then he said he sold his soul to the Undisputed Era and he wants it back. They get into a pull apart. I mean, I'm not doing this justice, but this was a fantastic talking segment. What did you guys think?
It's all right. Again, I don't see why the fans wanted to talk about NXT so much. I'll be honest. I thought AEW was 1,000 times better. So I wasn't blown away by this whole show.
The back and forth was interesting and in a good way. Again, adding fuel to this. I will say this. Well, again, what confused me is that like the build to this segment is like the consequences. And Regal's been pissed about how these two men have acted. We had to get the police involved. So again, I thought consequence. I thought one of you is going to leave NXT. Like this was no consequence. You just gave them a match that they wanted. The liability and the whole harmless. But like, so the consequences I thought was a weird way to frame this. Like this is basically like a reward. I mean,
no, absolutely.
And I think the last super chat here for NXT here, Alejandro, $5. Who do you see winning the Cruiserweight Championship, Devlin or Santos Escobar Jr.? I personally say Devlin, but.
Oh, really? I think it should be Santos. I mean, he's got a good thing going, and Devlin's good and all, but I mean, Santos Escobar has a whole package, and I want to see him continue to win.
Nothing against Santos. I picked Devlin just because he was the original Cruiserweight champion they had in mind, who then they lost because of the pandemic, so I feel like they're going to try to, like, reignite his momentum.
You don't think – I mean, honestly, I think Santos Escobar is too big of a deal. He's way past the Cruiserweight title for my money.
Yeah.
Seriously. He's a talent I would pay money to watch.
Well, but if he's past the cruiserweight title, then he needs to drop it so that way he can move on and go for the North American or do something else.
This is this is beneath him.
Yeah, I could see that being him being upgraded if he loses. So, he's in a pretty good spot right now. And I completely agree with you, Justin, in that they did frame this like William Regal's going to punish these guys. It wasn't framed that they were going to get a stipulation or anything like that. So it was very weird to see them be so prepared to have this match based on what was advertised last week.
Yeah. So, but again, I hope the back and forth is good. This is probably the best. This is the most interesting Kyle O'Reilly's ever been on the mic. I'll say that.
I was going to say, Kyle O'Reilly, I thought had the better. Adam Cole's delivery and everything is a better promo in general, but I thought what Kyle O'Reilly had to say was better than what Adam Cole had to say. I was pleasantly surprised by Kyle O'Reilly tonight.
All right, so that was NXT tonight. So we were on the road to TakeOver, of course, April 7th and April 8th, 2 nights. April 7th.
Is there really a road to TakeOver, though, Justin? Is there really a road for it?
There is a road. It's more than just.
It's like a freaking dead end. It's like I don't even know what analogy I can use, but I'm down on NXT except for a few talents lately.
It is a paved asphalt road. It is not a dirt road. It's not a path in the weeds. It's a road. And we're heading to TakeOver.
It's like it's like a dirt. No, it's a dirt road.
All right. Well, we're going to take the dirt road over to Jacksonville. And, let's
How dare you say that about AEW, the much more superior company in talent and wrestling show.
All right. Relax there, Matt Kahn. All right. Here we go. We kick it off. We're going to have it's a non-title match. AEW World Champion Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal with brother Mike at ringside. Again, non-title. Very competitive match, hard-hitting between these two. Of course, teasing the fact that if Sydal was to get a win, he, of course, would be in line then to be a challenger for the world title, whoever the champion would be. Ultimately, though, Omega ends up hitting the V-trigger, then the one-winged angel, 1, 2, 3. Kenny Omega wins. And that would not be the last we see of Kenny Omega. But overall, solid starting match, Matt.
Yeah, very good match. Way to kick off the show. But again, Kenny gives too much. Way too much offense. Oh, but come on, Matt. This is been bored. Yeah, like 10 years ago. He's very talented, but they've not booked him in a dominant position to where Kenny should be giving him the offense he gave him. Part of being a good main event talent is understanding how incredibly crucial it is that you are the box office draw. You are the one that people are supposed to be paying money to want to come see. And the talents from you down that roster, all the way down to the opening match, by the way, the champion opened the show, are dependent on you. That's the way this business works. So when you're a champion, the heavyweight champion, that's not the time to be, I'm going to get this guy over. No, brother, you got to get yourself over. That in turn gets the company over. That in turn actually does get that talent over that you squashed, and the roster all the way down when you're champion. And I learned that from Eddie Guerrero. So anybody wants to argue with me, suck it. Eddie Guerrero knows more than you.
And to your point, I think Kenny Omega would agree with you, Matt Morgan, because when he came out during his entrance, he turned straight to the camera and he goes, "Opening match? Are you serious? Opening match!" So he was not very happy. I mean, the character was not very happy to be opening it. So it's very good that they acknowledge that.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
I'll just say the only thing I'll say about this match, I really loved how they made use of the near falls. I do agree that, this was way too 50-50 for a world champion, but they made great use of the near falls. There are a couple of times where it looked like the referee was just about to hit the 3 where they kicked out, and, Matt Sydal got a lot of near falls in this match.
The only reason I'm saying it, Justin, this way is because I'm trying not to be such a homer in my opinion here. I'm not. But if I'm being honest, there's times where I can let myself just go and watch it from a wrestler's perspective and just be super entertained by like what you just said, Alfred. The falsies in this match were really well done. The match itself was very well put together, very entertaining. But then I kept morphing back into, well, this dude's a heavyweight champion. Stop giving him this shit.
Well, and that's the thing, Matt. And I've critiqued AEW about this, and like, man, if you say a negative word about AEW, they got a mile long message board. They'll search your tweet out and just knock it forever. And
I get the opposite. I get guys getting mad at me because I home down them too much.
like I critiqued this in the past and yes, I know it's WWE booking. You don't understand how AEW books, but it's that thing of the stars give the up, and I know Matt Seidel's obviously he's been around a lot longer, he's an up and comer, but they give the people that are not the featured talent right now too much. And like I said, I said it earlier weeks ago with a tag match that with opposite the Varsity Blondes, said good young guys, Pillman and them and Griff coming up, but like they were given too much in whatever particular match it was, and I got slammed for days. And again, that's the problem. Like I know AEW, they're trying to be generous. They think that you can have a more competitive match.
Next time that happens, simply take dead serious. Go find a YouTube clip of Scott Hall or somebody that's actually drawn money and reply to it with that. That's your answer.
Yeah.
That talents that know what they're talking about have drawn money in this business. Guys, there's a difference of drawing money versus what we see with today's wrestling. There's nobody in today's wrestling that can say they drew money except John Cena, who's now retired. Basically, I would argue Roman Reigns could technically say that if we didn't have this pandemic. I would argue he could get away saying that. But that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
they don't understand what it means. Most fans from today's era of wrestling do not understand what drawing money technically means. They don't.
Yeah, they don't separate the difference between drawing money and drawing tweets, I guess.
Oh,
but and actually, so I see the chat room as people have been throwing it to me on Twitter and such. Kenny Omega actually, the on Impact was one of the lowest Impact audience ratings.
Wow.
We have it on Wrestling Inc. Yeah, I'll try to find it in due time. But
it's the best thing on that damn show. What the hell's that about?
It didn't. That didn't resonate. Apparently, I'll bring it up before the show's over. I'll try to find the exact stats. But all right, after the match, or actually backstage, we get a little backstage of Marvez and the entire Dark Order. John Silver's the one who's going to represent the Dark Order, and this is funny. John Silver is doing prep for how he's going to beat Darby Allin. All he has to do is avoid a coffin drop. So he has different guys in the Dark Order coffin drop towards him, and he just moved like a crab side to side.
He's entertaining as it gets. I love it.
Yes, Johnny Hungry, and we'll hopefully we might have more news by the time we get to it, but maybe a scary result for Johnny Hungry and Silver in his main event match. All right, so we get Hangman Adam Page up against Cesar Bonani. This was the kind of match it should be in terms of the traditional squash match. Page gets the win here, hits his buckshot lariat, and I thought again this is the match I would expect it to be. And Cesar Bonani, he's a bigger dude, and so this looks good for Page to beat him.
I agree. Good use of Caesar as well, for what it's worth. I don't like seeing big guys lose, especially young big guys. But I was all for this. This was a very good match. Again, well constructed, well thought out. Whoever the agent was that put this together deserves credit.
Yeah, I love this. Cesar is a very impressive looking dude because Hangman Adam Page is not a small guy. He's a thick, very big guy. One of those guys is you don't have no idea how big he really is. And Cesar dwarfed him in the ring. So to see Hangman just run wild on him and essentially squash him was very impressive.
He still has some things. I watched him a little bit in that. What was their last pay-per-view when they had that battle royal? What was it?
Revolution.
Do you remember that? He was in the tag team battle royal thing, wasn't he?
Was this that Revolution, the casino tag battle royal? Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
So there was a couple things he did that still showed me he's very green. Mm-hmm. Very small things. But I could see when people are like, how the hell WWE didn't make this guy into a stud or star? Well, because they gave up on him too quick. He still has some ways to learn, but he's got the look. And as long as you have that look, that door, no matter what company you're in, is always going to be cracked open. And I hope he's able to kick that door in and continue to improve.
Real quick to the Kenny Omega thing that I said, I found the story. It was posted earlier today on Wrestling Inc. So this past Tuesday's taped Impact episode, which featured the return of Omega, it was him with Eddie Edwards versus Carl Anderson for the main event, drew 116,000 viewers on Access TV. That's the lowest viewership in 2021 for Impact Wrestling.
Okay, really quick, let's put it in perspective. What's the average number on that show? What was the overall then? How about that?
I can see this week the viewership is down 20% from the previous week. 146 out of a 150 in the key demo.
Because it was like 130,000 total. Like, okay, that's not a big deal.
So here you go. They did 116,000 this past week. Here's all the weeks prior. I'll give you just a couple. 146,000 the week prior to that. 144, 134, 170, 197, 153.
Wow.
So you know
and
they
dropped to 116.
Yeah.
Okay, that is pretty. I'll be honest, that is pretty significant. All right, whatever.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
what the hell, Impact fans? You spoiled brats. You had Kenny Omega.
Also, they've really screwed up this whole Impact AEW invasion thing. I think Kenny Omega, I don't think it's fair to only blame Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's appearance in Impact is predicated on this overarching storyline of AEW versus Impact. That means nothing now. I mean, 2 weeks in, we were bearing it about how they weren't following up on this correctly, and now there's really nothing behind this whole invasion angle.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
I agree. It's the highest profile on TNT in America. It's the highest profile companies working with each other, having talent show up on Access, having show up on TNT, and the magic of it is gone. What could have been, it really seems like it's gone for one reason or another. Okay.
Hey, really quick, can I be honest though about one thing? If I'm Kenny, I know he's trying to help his boy Don Callis out. I'm saying, fuck that. I'm not going back to Impact. I'm not running that risk ever again to look like that and me be the one that eats the blame of having the lowest rated show of the year. I'm the one with everything to lose right now. What matters right now is I help AEW continue to climb that mountain and if you're the champion, you put that company on your back. That's the way it's supposed to be. And Kenny's a workhorse, and I'm sure he thinks the same way. And if I'm him, I'm like, nope, I ain't taking any more risks. I'm not being on some D-rated show and then finding out that I couldn't not only increase the rating, but I lowered it. F that. That's going to hurt AEW's perception.
Well, it goes back to the question that we were asking at the very beginning of all this, Matt, which was what is AEW getting out of this? What is Tony Khan getting out of this? Impact's the one that benefits from it.
I never understood it other than Don Callis working a magic deal out, and he's the one who got the most out of this.
Yeah.
Individually and for his company Impact. Don Callis, by far and away, is the one that comes out smelling like roses in this entire exchange of all the talents from the Good Brothers to Private Party showing up on Impact and whatever talents cross over. Dude, it's definitely Don Callis that by far and away is the biggest star out of this angle. Nope. I mean, is there any think about it?
No, I wonder is he with Impact even long term, or is he pivoting himself over to Team AEW? Not in storyline, but behind the scenes wise. Is he with Impact?
Even his promos, he's generally the best promo. One of the best promos.
Yeah, it does feel like he's headed to AEW long term.
Again, why else would Tony Khan give him this much airtime?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so after the Hangman Page when we pre-tape promo from Lance Archer, he's basically talking about how Sting and the Black Bat, he used to pay attention, he used to mean respect, but that's no more, and people are going to remember his name, meaning Lance Archer, and soon it will be showtime. Here's a $4.99 super chat from our friend Jax Callens. Impact is on a channel many don't have, and on Twitch app, which many don't use or aren't familiar with. It's weird, in my opinion, what they're trying.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I don't get access to
that still doesn't take away from the fact that they were doing these numbers, and then all of a sudden they dropped that much. So I agree. It's on a no-name network, on a no-name channel that I've never heard of. But I'm just going off the numbers on what Justin just reeled off to us that the past week's ratings had been. And that is a significant drop. And I don't like admitting that. I'm a homer for AEW on every damn segment, for crying out loud. I don't like saying anything negative about them. My friends own the company, for crying out loud. But it's the truth. It sucks. If I'm Kenny, I'm saying no more. Sorry, Don Callis, you can come on our show. I ain't coming on yours. No more. No way.
Yeah. Another super chat I missed here. Okay, so that was Jack Callens. Joey Dorgan, $5. It's not Kenny. Wrestling can't make new fans. It's down across the board. Most people don't have access. AEW fans don't care about watching Impact. Actually, I think it's kind of a fair take on it. Wrestling viewership as a whole is down. It's fewer people are watching wrestling now than they were 20 years ago.
Absolutely. But again, we're talking about, I heard a bunch of 149s in there that you reeled off just 2 minutes ago. I heard some 120s in there, some 130s. To drop to 116, guys, there's no way to cut around this. That sucks. I don't blame Kenny for that. I blame Impact for not doing a good enough job of getting it out there. They rely heavily like on their Instagram stuff for their marketing, and it's piss poor. It's minor league, and it is what it is. I don't want Kenny to have anything to do with them anymore moving forward because I'm a Kenny Omega fan. I don't like this for him.
I've noticed with Impact talent too that there must be some kind of memo or mandate. Impact talent, if you follow enough of them, your timeline in order, they are all tweeting the same video clips, and it doesn't have to be video clips even involved in. They must be mandated or being told, we need you to help.
They do.
Sure.
And I'll speak on that from when I was there. They did it, and this is when we're on Spike TV, a national known network, no less. But all of us would get emails and say, hey, make sure you if you guys can you please help us? Can you post this? And we're a team. Why wouldn't we? But yeah, that's funny you picked up on that.
But they must be telling them the exact times because, like, just for example, I follow Dion,
yes.
I follow Eric Young, and
I'm telling you, it's nothing to investigate, Justin. I'm telling you, the answer is yes, they do.
Yeah, it's all at the same time.
We see this across the board too in WWE. I mean, Asuka one time tweeted, and she left in the tweet, Asuka, can you please tweet this out for us? And then she tweeted what she was supposed to tweet. And she
no, she didn't.
Yes, she did. No, you remember that? It was like, I think like 2 years ago, something like that.
I missed that.
A couple people have done that. I think Kyrie Sane did the same thing, where they just leave in the tweet, like, we need you to tweet this at this time or whatever.
So I went back to Impact so my son could see me wrestle live, right? That was my intent. I was just going to be back for like a month and steal a pay-per-view versus, I think it was Braum or somebody. Yeah, Braum. Anyways, they did a social media thing of like all the Impact different superstars like that were working out in the gym that day. So they put like a post with me, who now is LA Knight, and one of the female talents, Zack Ryder's wife, working out in the gym. And I did the same thing. Matt, could you please post this? Josh Matthews sent it to me. And I accidentally did the same exact thing where I left it. I copy and pasted it.
It happens to the best of us.
Ugh. And Twitter sucks because you can't edit tweets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to fix that. They really do.
They really do. I agree.
Just got to delete it and redo it. All right, 2 super chats real quick before we get back going here. Bobby Burns, $4.99. College basketball had an impact on the numbers, plus Kenny was promoted for the show. I didn't know until I saw clips on Twitter. Bobby saying the March Madness.
Yeah, March Madness has had an impact. I mean, that is one of those things where it's one of the main events that's going on right now, and the world is still mostly closed down. I mean, we're starting to open up, but March Madness has attracted a lot of attention away from wrestling.
Zook Enigma, $4.99. Off topic, but did you guys hear they're moving Raw and SmackDown to the Yingling Center in Tampa after Mania? Yeah, they lose Tropicana here shortly because the Rays got to get ready for baseball, so they're going to set up the Thunderdome in the Yingling Center. I'd have to imagine this will be their last Thunderdome reincarnation, and then at some point here in 2021, they're going to start.
All right, let's move on with the show. We're taking way too long there.
Getting the super chats in. All right,
screw the super chats. They're all making excuses for why this rating's down, guys. I'm a bigger Kenny Omega mark than all of you combined. I don't like saying it either.
I have explicit instructions from Raj Giri to read every super chat.
Tell Raj I got an instruction for him. It's right here.
Oh man, we're building this storyline. Here we go. WrestleMania season's coming early.
You tell him. All right, we see Thunder Rosa in her big speech last week after the crazy match between her and Britt Baker. Britt then comes out.
So good. I didn't get a chance to talk on that, and I won't, but that match was insanity. So good.
I was going to say, you want us to keep it moving. You're going to go back 7 days.
I'm shutting up. I said I'm shutting up. Go.
All right. Well, Britt comes out. She does one of her best live promos ever. She talks about how, Thunder Rosa, you're talking about how you put people on the map. I just put you on the map. You thank me. You're part of history. AEW, the letters are DMD. She goes, I wrote it in my own blood. She talks about Mick Foley saying, thumbs up to the match. Mick, it took you 20 years to be a hardcore legend. I did it in one night. So she just firing shots all over the place. So Britt Baker calling her shot. Good follow-up.
Amazing follow-up. Superstar, like the next level type of follow-up. This was awesome.
This is pound for pound, just economy of words. This might have been the promo of the year for me because there was not one wasted motion. Every line that came out of her mouth was a bar. She had that line about Tony Khan. You're signing all these legends. You got the biggest legend in wrestling right under your nose. Like, there was no, let me tell you something. The fact of the matter is, every word that came out of her mouth meant something. And I thought this was an incredible promo.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Backstage, we see Christian. He's interrupted by Frankie Kazarian. But basically, Frankie's like, it's been a long time since you've been out. Why don't you, basically challenging Christian. Christian says, my work starts next week. And, if you don't have an opponent, how about it be you? So next Wednesday, we are going to see the in-ring debut of Christian Cage in AEW up against Frankie Kazarian. Matt, I know you know both these guys pretty well. What do you think about this?
Very cool. A favorite of Frank. Obviously, they're friends. Frankie's an amazing talent. The guy never ages. Holy crap. This match will be great. That is my prediction. This match will be a classic. The psychology in it will be absolutely perfect. But with the AEW fan, I don't know if they'll appreciate it as much. I'm just being serious. I know the average AEW fan really enjoys, like I do, the high-paced athleticism and fifth gear type of offense and the innovative offense that is I expect out of most AEW matches. That's why I watch it. That's why I like it. But if you want a good old school psychologically making sense style of match where a body part is actually worked the entire match and they change gears throughout the match and build throughout the heat for the match, it's going to be a great match.
Yeah, good showcase for Christian. I'm not all the way sold on Christian yet in AEW, but hopefully this match will turn me around.
I can't believe I'm saying that, though. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I know what you're saying. Even when he came back to WWE, like he was doing he had great matches versus Orton and a great series and stuff. But go back and watch it. It's like I love Jay to death, but he's doing sunset flips off the second rope and things like that. That, in my opinion, an AEW crowd is not going to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to all that point, Matt. Tony Khan spoke about how Christian's one of his favorite wrestlers and workers ever. I will be interested to see. Does he hold up in the AEW environment? Do they buy into what he does, or does he flip the script and change his style? I don't know.
He ain't gonna be running through doing type whatever the hell it's called, dives through the second rope and stuff like that anytime soon. No, he's gonna try to. And why I like him in this company though, because I like him being backstage with those talents, and he's always sharing ideas, even if you don't ask. He's very cool. He'll come up to you and say, hey, you might want to try this next time. Here's my 2 cents. You might want to, and to get some of these guys to slow down that really need it. I don't mean their style either, just their pacing. So letting some of their moves breathe a little bit more and actually get more over in the process when they do that is vital. And I would sign Jay just because of that.
Yeah, no. So he is one of the nicest guys and best hearted guys that's in the business.
God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Such a funny as hell. Funny as hell.
All right. So up next, we get a 6-man tag match with the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin up against FTR and Sean Spears. This is the first time we're seeing the new group, the Pinnacle, having some kind of in-ring action. All of them are out there. Tully, Wardlow, MJF at ringside. They cut a little promo. They each take a minute to get their soundbite in. Then we get a match here. A little more competitive than you would think it would be. You'd think that this would be more of a squash, but they give some stuff here to Varsity Blondes and Dante. Ultimately, though, at the end of the time, Sean Spears, he actually tags in. He gets the they call it the pop-up C4, and he gets the pinfall. Sean Spears does here for the group. So,
good.
Yeah,
very important. This was very important that he got that win. Very important because Sean Spears is the one that's so far being labeled the weakest of the group, which I think is ridiculous. But to be fair to those that do say that, I could see their point a little bit. Not hedging my bet here, but because I do see it a little bit because of how he's been booked. Some people he's been given this opportunity and that opportunity. He's been given crap opportunity. They put a friggin' coal miner glove on the fucking kid. Are you kidding me? Come on. That's god awful. So I was happy to see him get this win. I thought it was very important. Because I do feel is still a stud waiting to happen, a star, big, much bigger star than he currently is, waiting to happen if he gets booked properly. So I'm hoping he gets over with this group. This group is just wow. Is this an impressive group? And it's awesome that MJF has his own group and has his own stable.
Yeah, actually, I got ahead of myself. The promos actually came after the fact, after the match, where they each did some sound bites. Of course, most notable MJF making note of how we haven't seen Chris Jericho, haven't heard from them since. Making a fat joke about Jericho. Says, come on out right now. Oh, you're not going to because you're terrified you won't be out. So again, just good on AEW for let's milk it, don't rush it. Let Jericho and company stay away, and when they do pop back up, it's going to be that much more of a big deal as we build towards like a War Games type situation here between these two super factions. Jax Callens 299 said Christian would be cool with like Paige, etc. In my opinion.
Yeah, right now there's a lot of good matches to be had for Christian. Certainly, I think the rollout has been kind of botched.
Yes, I agree with that. But like Christian in a matchup versus Adam Page could be really good. Actually, I agree with that.
Yeah, a lot of fresh matchups, a lot of fresh original situations for Christian to have here.
And in my head, I'm only thinking about the other talent and what will it mean to the other talent? Who can really use it and still stick within Jay's wheelhouse of how he wrestles a match? And I think Adam Page can really use that the most, quite frankly, because Adam Page doesn't do all that shit. He doesn't do that flip-flop-fly shit. He can. He puts it at the right times of his match. If you watch, he hits that nasty-looking moonsault off the top to the outside every once in a while. He doesn't hit every match. So, like, he's a perfect one for him, actually.
Corey Trench, $2. Matt is the stone cold tweener to Raj's Vince McMahon.
I did in a group text refer to Raj today as the Mr. McMahon persona.
yes, he did.
I can attest to that.
And Raj did not directly actually even respond to that text. You guys noted.
We all saw it.
Oh boy. All right, keeping going here. A couple promos, Taz and a pre-tape. He's back. He's with his whole group. Of course, the gimmick going into this is we last saw Brian Cage, who is starting to drift from the group. He's marking out for Sting the week prior. Taz says we're all good. Everybody's fine. Brian Cage is fine. We're all good. Cage kind of the whole time rolling his eyes, not so sure. So obviously we're continuing that. Brian Cage not long for the Team Taz world. Yeah. We also think
love that. Sorry, just want to say I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nope. My masses we haven't got to talk about it. My I think I made a prediction last week. My prediction is Lance Archer is a big man who's starting to take issue with Sting. Brian Cage is a big man who all of a sudden is taking up, his fandom for Sting. I think Brian Cage ended up becoming kind of like Sting's. Yeah, I think if Brian Cage is going to stand up for Sting, we could see an Archer Brian Cage match is where we might be building here.
Which is actually really good booking. It actually works. The only thing I hate about this is one of them have to then lose. That's when you kind of book yourselves into a corner here. If you're AEW, you have two big studs that you've been good to, but then you've been bad to. Started to be good to again, but then was bad to with how you booked them and lost, have them lose. Brian Cage has to win, and I don't say that easily. Lance Archer is a monster, so I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, if they do feud, hopefully the match is for that FTW title because they don't do anything with that title, and I mean he's carrying around all the time. They need to at the very least have this be on the line. Otherwise, just some big goof carrying around the title. I'm
an ECW fan. What does that title mean? What does that
exactly? Nothing in AEW. I mean, it can mean whatever they wanted to.
Won't Taz though conniption though a little hissy fit and take it back because it's his title?
I can see that. That'd be so funny. That'd be very petty of Taz to do.
Yes,
the FTW title is the $1 Million Man title. Nobody earned it. You just created it.
Absolutely. Listen, I completely agree that it is, but they don't have to let it just be some prop. And I don't think a guy like Brian Cage should be carrying on. That $1 Million title gimmick is like a comedy thing. It's something that like some lower card underneath guy should do. If you have a title like that on a guy as talented as Brian Cage, you can defend it.
If your title is getting comparisons to a title that Virgil once won, I think we should probably all just slow down a little bit.
There's still some hope for this title, I'm telling you.
FTW title in 1999? Yes. In the heat of ECW? Yes. 2021.
Then why even bring this title out? Then get rid of it. Honestly, I don't know why Brian Cage should be the one. If this was Ricky Starks in this title, as much as I love Ricky Starks, I think he could do more with making this title a funny kind of thing. I've always said, I don't care who's with me on this, but I think they should just make that like an unofficial Monsters title. And all these super big guys they have who feud and they don't do anything with should fight over that title. And they can do things for this title.
Taz should have just kept that title in the closet until his son is ready to. Can
I just say that's not a terrible idea, dude?
I think it's a great idea.
Like a big guy's title like that.
Yes.
I like that.
You have to be like 250 pounds or more to compete. They can call me up, Tony. Call me. You have my number. I'll walk you through this.
No, it's a good idea.
All right. In the next promo we get, this one's live on the stage. This is a QT Marshall on the stage with Tony. Basically, QT Marshall's talking about how, he basically the whole song of I'm here because of Cody, and I'm here because of Cody and the opportunity and everything I do and accomplish. It's always the asterisk of Cody's friend. And then I gotta get Cody's coffee, make sure it's hot enough. And then Cody gets to go home to the hotel, but meanwhile I'm working all night and blah 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 blah. Cody comes out. He plays the whole. He's been producing the show. Takes the headset off. He's in a sling, mind you. He's selling the arm finish from Penta from the week earlier. Nice little touch. And this is something new. So next week they're going to have an exhibition. If you're asking what is an exhibition in pro wrestling, as Cody explains it, they're going to have like a match, but it's just going to be like getting into the hole. As Cody explains, I'm going to get you in for Crossroads, but I'm not going to hit it on you. I'm going to get you in the spot, but I'm not going to I'm not going to follow through and give you the impact. It's basically going to be to show you, to compare and see how good they are. Matt, did you follow along with this? And do you like this idea? It's different. I'll say that, but do you like it?
I'm usually a fan of anything different, of companies attempting something new. And I wait to reserve my judgment after it's been executed. So I don't want to crap on it. I don't want to praise it either until I watch it. But it makes sense as to why you would put somebody in your finisher but not really go through with it if it's an exhibition, because that's your friend who you're trying to teach a lesson to. So psychologically speaking, I understood Cody, what he was saying. So I'm interested to see how it plays out.
I'm all in on this. I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to come off. And I've just really loved QT Marshall. I think nobody's done more with less than QT Marshall. He's just a real dude. I mean, he's not out kicking his coverage. He's just telling his story. We saw his wife. And I'm really getting into this character as just a guy who's starting to get fed up with being the help.
Well, I will go on record as saying I'm very proud of myself because QT Marshall is how you say it. But they never say it correctly on that show. QT Marshall, as it were, as Glenn would say, came to TNA Impact and had his robe and it had his gimmick ready, and the company didn't do nothing with him. And I'm very proud of myself to go to a Dixie Carter and said, that guy is somebody that we could use on this show because he can work with everybody. He understands how to make other talents get over while still getting himself over, which at the time I made the argument, Bobby Roode, James Storm, we had a few, AJ Styles. We had a few of them that could do that, but the way he does it was psychologically driven in his storytelling and his matches. We had just lost Christian, as I recall, and I was like, he's kind of like him in that regard. He puts the match. Anyways, I put him over, and nobody even knew who he was yet. So QT Marshall, I tried.
Yeah, and he's been a trainer, and a lot of talents have been filtering into AEW that are from
so good. He is so freaking underrated.
I'll say this: I was a little thrown off, but the more I think about it, I think this is going to be a nice situation because my prediction, my fantasy booking, is they're under the guise of this exhibition of just getting caught in the holds, and obviously QT plays along for a little bit, and then at some point he just stab him in the back.
Yeah,
lays the boots to Cody and busts him open. Yeah. One thing I'd say though is like a lot of times AEW gets a lot of heat for. Can you hear me? Okay, Justin?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. They get a lot of heat because and I've heard Corny. I love Corny, but you've heard him on his podcast saying that it's the friends only wrestling company or whatever he makes fun of him calling it. But QT Marshall is an example of a friend that's actually really talented and can go. And PS is training half the damn roster on the side. Like, yeah, he's incredibly valuable to that company.
Well, and he alluded to, he's doing a lot of the middle management office grunt work of day to day. So,
which is a pain in the ass. That's not fun.
He had this line that was kind of innocuous, but I guarantee you it connects with a lot of people. He said, when they go home, I have to stay here all night and work. And I guarantee you there are people who are just 9 to 5 everyday blue collar workers who watch that and they're just like, yeah, I'm with this guy. Like, good for him.
Yeah. Right?
So that's something to look forward to for next week. We'll see. And Arn Anderson will be the official, the referee for that deal. Okay, another 6-man tag here: the Lucha Brothers and the Laredo Kid up against the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. High flying, innovative offense, as you always are going to see with these participants. There's no way around that. Ultimately, though, the real business is what happens after the fact here. We get a Spanish fly. Laredo Kid gets a Spanish fly off the top rope, pins Cutler for the win. So Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid get the win. Post-match, though, here comes Kenny Omega. He attacks Laredo Kid. He's trying to attack them and everything. He's trying to support the Young Bucks, who obviously just lost. He gets on the mic. The Young Bucks, not sure, again, more conflict here with Callis and Omega. Kenny proceeds to cut a promo. Never says the other two companies' names, but basically he says the story of, look, 3 years ago, he's alluding to when we're all in New Japan. I had I could have stayed there. I could have stayed at what he calls home, where he was loved. But no, I left. And then, I could have gone to New York, obviously referring to WWE. But no, I decided to bet on my family, to be with you guys. I pick you guys, but you guys don't even pick me. You pick up Brandon Cutler. All this stuff. He said, I'm going to give you one more chance. And he throws up the 2 sweet sign. Of course, they rejected that last week. And he says, I'm giving you one more chance. They rejected again this week. The Bucks leave, and then all of a sudden we see Penta and Phoenix. They come, they hit from behind. They start attacking Omega. Then the Good Brothers eventually come out just a little bit too late. Matt, what'd you make of this? I mean, do you like this? Do you like the soap opera that they've been doing here with the Bucks?
I'll be honest, and I love them to death. They're good friends of mine, the Bucks. I don't mean that the name drop. I mean it because I don't like saying this. It sucks, but they're not good when it comes to acting. They're just not. Like, their reactions, even last week, I thought were not very, very believable either. With not putting up the 2 sweet sign and whatnot, they overact a little bit. I don't know, and it takes me out of it every single time.
I like Kenny Omega's promo. I thought it was a perfect combination of whiny and heelish to where
he was good here. Yeah.
I mean, I love that point he made that I didn't choose AEW. Like, I wanted to hang out with you guys, and then he goes heel by saying, "But you didn't want to hang out with me." So I thought it was a really good way of trying to explain, like, what they called later in the night a melodrama between the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Yeah. Matt, you said the bad acting. I almost wonder, like, do the Bucks even believe in the storyline? We all know that these guys are still EVPs of this company. Like, did they even buy into this?
Yeah, that could be a good point. Who knows?
Yeah.
And again, we the Good Brothers are there. Like both those guys, but like again, this whole invasion thing is really fallen by the way. They now they're just running out there as if they're just part of the AEW locker room. At first it was like they invaded, like they were Hall and Nash. Now they're just there.
That's an indictment on the storyline. I didn't even think about the invasion aspect till you guys started talking about the ratings this past week. Like, I don't even think of the Good Brothers in terms of being part of Impact and invading AEW. They're just like glorified AEW guys.
So I agree with that. Me too. Do you guys watch Being the Elite at all? Have you watched it lately?
Yeah. I didn't see this week's, but I watch it.
So, like, dude, what the Good Brothers, especially Gallows, is capable of doing is hilarious. With what their promos are, they cut on that show on BTE about catching a cuz, and Anderson telling him, he's like, "We lost the tag titles because you're always tired. Why are you always so damn tired? Because you're always catching cuzes." And it's like an acknowledgement that, if you guys don't know, that Luke Gallows is he masturbates too much, so therefore he's too tired. It's the funniest stuff, guys. I just completely ruined it and buried it. I didn't give it anywhere near enough comedy that it really is. It's comedy gold. You guys have got to watch it. And I wish they could do things like that on this show, because it's hilarious, especially when the Bucks have to be in the segment, when these are really good Christian guys. Like, they don't talk like that in real life. So it's hilarious to watch. And Gallows, I was
going to ask if there's a stipulation that he couldn't catch cuz for a week. Isn't that what? That's what I saw. So.
Anderson, you're absolutely right. Great call. Machine Gun Anderson says that if Luke Gallows does it one more time, does it at least one time in the week, that's it. They're done. They're breaking up forever. It's pretty funny.
I think we all have a good collection of Gallows stories we could tell one day, or maybe not tell.
So good. God, he is so funny.
Yeah. $4.99 Jackson Collins. How do you feel about Booker T saying AEW is going the direction WCW went in a bad way? I did see those comments.
I don't think Book has, I mean, no disrespect to him, but I don't think he's got a current feel for what fans today, right now in today's wrestling. He hasn't acknowledged yet that we don't have the fans as much anymore that watch wrestling for what I was telling you guys about earlier. The psychology breakdown of a match. The fans aren't sitting there watching it and go, holy crap, look at him work that hold. Wow, look at Randy Orton's chin lock. That's amazing. He's not just resting it, he's working it. That's impressive. Or wow, look at him, look at that baby face sell their arm. He's doing such a great job selling that. Wrestling fans today, it's like NBA. You have centers now that are shooting the friggin' ball from three-point land, bringing the ball up to court. It's evolved. So is pro wrestling. It's much more fast-paced. It's much more athletic. You don't have to be some big steroided-up monster anymore in order to get a job and get an opportunity. You have to be able to work. You got to be able to go. You got to be athletic. It's a different day and age. And I don't think Booker, from listening to his show sometimes, I like Book, but I don't think he's right on this whatsoever. Not even in the ball. I think he's not even in the ballpark on that comment.
Well, in your comments you just made there, Matt, that's very apparent by the main event we're going to get from AEW tonight in terms of size. But what Book is saying here, if I understand it, because I heard the clip, what he's saying is that what AEW is doing is the Christians, the Stings,
signing the older talent. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but we've only signed some of them. They've not done what like Impact did. And at the end of the day, you still have to book a good show. You still have to promote a good show, even with those talents. TNA had everything. We had Hulk friggin' Hogan. Are you kidding me? It's the messiah of professional wrestling, the Babe Ruth. There is no bigger name. And are you kidding me? We couldn't get past a 1-4? Like, it's up. Sometimes, guys, it's on the damn company, what to do with those talents. And I think AEW will, so far, look how they've booked Sting. Sting's not out there jobbing everybody out. Big Show's not out there jobbing everybody out. Christian is not out there jobbing everybody out. Their young stars are still running the roost there, as it should be. Kenny Omega's their champion. Young Bucks, tag champion. These are the current wrestlers that fit today's style that are on top. And it's not WWE talents that are coming in and stealing these top spots. So that's the big difference right there.
Yeah, and I will say I agree and disagree with Booker T. I think AEW is absolutely going the way of WCW, but in a good way in that they are following the 90s WCW Nitro model. Almost unapologetically, Dynamite and Nitro have parallels. They use Bash at the Beach. A lot of WCW callbacks on AEW, and they're doing everything that WCW did right at first. Now, there is an ugly side of this. If Chris Jericho's your world champion in 2026, then they're going the bad way of WCW. Right. But you can already see the young guys that they're starting to bring up and who are going to overtake these older talents 5 years from now. We'll be able to see that in 5 years.
They already have, in my opinion. Those guys are not in top spots. They're not. They're there to do what they did at TNA, which is to be able to go to networks if it doesn't work out for TNT one day and say, hey, we have a pro wrestling company. Oh, really? I've never heard of any of these guys. Well, you've heard of Sting. You've heard of the Big Show. That's why you have them there, to always have his leverage for marketing purposes, for trading card purposes, for video game purposes, and so on and so forth. That's why you have them there. And until Sting is their champion, Big Show's their champion, and so on and so forth, it's not the way WCW did it, where WCW and TNA especially would bring in WWE talents and immediately have them job out Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, like on day one, right? Yeah. That's not what they're doing here. So I completely disagree with them.
Well, in AEW's defense, obviously, Matt Hardy and all the other names that we just named, all these guys that have come over to AEW.
Supporting roles.
Well, and AEW hasn't got to show, hey, here's how valuable they are for us selling tickets, us doing meet and greets, us getting on the morning show in each city. Once they get back to touring each week, that'll be very interesting to see how that helps them. Okay, let's send Sting and Darby. Let's send Jericho and MJF. Let's send, and Matt Hardy and Private Party. Let's send the veteran, and then let's send somebody who we're establishing.
But as far as the show itself, which is all we have right now to gauge any success or failure on by their rating, they're doing it right. They're using those upper echelon talents that were upper echelon in other companies the right way with their company, in my opinion.
All right, a few super chats, and we got the final 20 minutes here of the show, of Dynamite's show. Stephen Marcachilli, $2.99. Two from AEW's roster Vince would see money in.
Kenny Omega, and I'll throw the Young Bucks. 3 talents for you. Brian Cage probably would be his first choice, though.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind was Brian Cage and Hangman Adam Page, actually.
I wanted to say Archer, but Archer was already there once upon a time. Matt, do you really believe that Vince would utilize Kenny Omega? Knowing Vince, and you've worked for Vince.
In a Daniel Bryan type of way. You know what? Maybe I'm giving too much credit. Yeah, you're probably right.
No, I think it'd be like AJ Styles. I think at worst case scenario, Vince might look at Kenny Omega and be like, oh, this guy, we'll see what this guy does. And then, as he sees how good Kenny Omega is, I think Kenny Omega would be like an AJ Styles type in WWE.
AJ Styles has something different about him, though, when he wrestles than Kenny does. It has nothing to do with who's better in the ring, by the way.
Sure.
There's something about AJ Styles when he wrestles that sucks you in. It just does. He has that unexplainable it factor, but on the wrestling end of it, before he developed his character and his promos with WWE, like just watching him in the ring, everything he does is just, my opinion, different. And it sucks me in as the viewer a little bit more than Kenny can. But it's like a physical charisma, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bret Hart had that same thing. AJ reminds me of Bret Hart in that way. You're absolutely
there. You
right.
go.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy, actually. Yes.
I don't know Vince, but based upon what we know of him, I would say he'd see money.
Big guys, yes.
I would say he'd see money in MJF because of the good looks.
Oh my God! How did I not say MJF? Yes.
Of the good looks and the craft on the stick. And I think he'd see it in Wardlow. And here's a guy who's got a body, and he looks like a $1 million model in the face.
Yes, to Wardlow as well. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we had one more super chat. I hope I didn't miss it. Sorry. We're trying to get it going here. Here we go. 999 Nelly 1994. How do you guys feel about Mania going on for 2 nights? Is it too much, or does it feel right?
No, I think it's good. I think it worked last year, and I'm excited for it this year.
Yeah, this is a good way to keep WWE from doing these marathon shows because, I mean, Justin, we've gone to WrestleManias and seen each other and stuff like that, and they're just – that 6-hour, 7-hour WrestleMania show is just such a non-starter for me.
True story. Mania 29 in New York, New Jersey. Alfred and I were working for a media company tied in with AEW, actually. We were working for that company. We had to do like a post-college game day show outside of that stadium after it was live. After Mania, and we were out there after midnight. It was hard to get transportation home. It was a bitch, and like this 2-night thing, I think is here to stay. I think Mania 2 nights is here to stay.
I hope so. I really do.
Me too.
And that's a fun event. I can't wait when they open up to go to a 2-night WrestleMania where you're just kind of there all weekend and it's like a festival.
It is, and also you get to steal a second main event WrestleMania match out of it. Yeah. You get to steal 2 WrestleMania moments.
Yeah, Alfred, I don't know if Raj allows us to say the name of the company, but people can figure it
out.
Right. They can Google. All right, we get a Jade Cargill promo. She pre-taped. She's looking badass. It looks like her in Red Velvet. That's not done. So
that's another talent Vince would eat up in a minute.
You know what? I'm putting her at number 1. Jade is
right.
Number 1 over anybody.
You know what I'm kind of surprised about?
Yes.
You know what I'm kind of surprised about is so cheap plug. Do Busted Open Radio every Friday morning with Mark Henry and Dave LaGreca. And Mark Henry's talked about how he knows of Jade and he kind of like had like a hand in Jade starting to get trained. And I'm kind of surprised that like Mark didn't because he's a company guy. He's a WWE guy. And I'm kind of surprised that Jade didn't end up in WWE after hearing what he has publicly stated of his involvement in her early on.
More importantly, do you plug our podcast when you're on their radio there?
I plugged Raj's exclusive on Andrade on the way out. Are you
kidding me? Nobody cares about that. What about our podcast that I'm on?
I do that too. I actually talked about before how I'm on a podcast. I've name dropped you, Matt Morgan. You would text me and say thank you, but you're not listening on Friday morning. So that's just.
I don't listen to the radio in my defense.
It's Sirius XM. You can listen to it in your car. You can listen on the app at any point.
Dude, I'm always in a conversation. I swear to you. My
It's a good
headphones
show.
work.
I listen every Friday.
Every Friday I'm on. If you can
I
listen
love
live,
Dave LaGreca. I used to listen when I had time to, I swear.
you can listen live at 10 a.m. Eastern, or you go on the app on demand and listen at any time. I'm on the start of hour number 2 every week. Dave LaGreca, Mark Henry, Justin LaBar. It's Spar with LaBar every single week.
Look at you. I demand a similar plug just as long, and I want their superstars on their podcast to talk about us the way you just did them.
Jax Collins, $4.99. Lost one. Sorry, boys. Thanks for the great podcast. My only word with AEW is overcrowded, signing so many talents signed to a company and growing. Well, they are expanding their programming, so hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Final 2 matches. This ties with the LA Knight losing. Nyla Rose loses to Ty Conti.
Okay. I would normally hate this. I don't think Nyla Rose should ever lose a match ever. I'm just a big fan of her just being a freaking just monster, bleep kicking heel. But with that said, Ty Conti has a lot of potential. I like her a lot. I like her in that group.
Dark Order.
I'm really interested though. Do you think they would have pulled the trigger on her if what's her name wasn't hurt? Because I have a feeling this was reserved, this spot in this match even, I would argue. Feels like this was reserved for what's her name before she got hurt. From the Dark Order.
Oh, Anna Jay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean,
yeah. I mean, Ty is improved in
right.
It's like night and day.
I should note, because here's where the business, and it's going to come back and play in a minute. The post-match business is after the match, Vicky and Nia, they're trying to beat up Ty. Here comes Hikaru Shida. She hits a kendo stick on a Rose. Then the Bunny comes out. The Bunny, of course, part of Matt Hardy's new group. Bunny comes out. She gets in on it. And so we kind of have this, some depth happening here with the women's. And again, it's going to revisit again in the next main event segment as well. So,
yeah, I hate seeing Nyla Rose lose. I especially clean to Ty Conti. Ty Conti was great in this match, but I mean, they could do better. And I thought she should have won that tournament. So I wasn't a fan of her losing, but whatever.
All right, yeah. we get a hype package for next week. Matt, I know you're excited. Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian in an Arcade Anarchy match.
Are you effing kidding me? Like seriously,
I didn't book this.
Miro, you are a star. You are a main event star, brother. Act like one. It's not having an ego to go to the company and say, guys, this does not work for me, brother. You've got to do it sometimes because, again, it's not being selfish. You're improving your company if you are being put into bigger situations, bigger matches with bigger stipulations versus bigger talent because you're a main event talent, Miro. You just don't know it yet. You are.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel here because the story that they're kind of telling is that Miro is over this. Like he even said, he's like,
they're going.
This is the match that you wanted, Kip. And then last week, Kip was the one who accepted the challenge after Miro said that he's done with this. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Miro, I expect to completely destroy Kip Sabian, maybe before this match even ends, maybe after the match, after Kip takes a loss. So we're on the verge of hopefully Miro washing his hands of all this. Because I do agree, Matt, that this is just to see him around all these video games and stuff like that. It's really off-putting.
Yeah, to be mismanaged as much as he was in WWE, and then to say, "Oh, his WWE booking looks better than this," and this is where you supposedly have more control of your own destiny in AEW.
That's why I'm telling him to get greedy, and it's not him being greedy by being greedy. It's what's so oxymoronic about that statement. You guys, if you're a main event star, you've got to treat yourself that way. Then the company will treat you that way. And once the company treats you that way, that's when you'll make some real money, and you'll help that company in a much bigger way than being stuck in this mid-card crap.
Absolutely. All right, main event. Here we go. TNT champion Darby Allin, of course, whole gimmick here is he's only had 4 title defenses since he won it in November. He wants to be more of a fighting champion. Yep. He wants to honor the great TNT champion and Brody Lee, so he offers anyone in the Dark Order come on and challenge us. We got a babyface situation. John Silver's the one who's going to come out to do it. John Silver is just kicking ass. Darby is bumping like a MFer in this. Yep. In the first opening, especially the one bump he takes, he goes through the bottom rope, and Jim Ross is screaming. This is a car crash. I mean, it looked pretty scary. They fight on the outside. Dark Order, again, they're baby faces, but they are trying to be there in numbers of support, even some of them taking some of the bumps for Silver. At one point, Silver gets launched over the barricade, and I bring this piece up because it looked like Silver legitimately hurt his shoulder or his arm. It's his right one. They don't normally sell the right one, and it just looked brutal anyways. Right. So I think, so first off, I think John Silver, tough ass here. I think he worked the rest of this match hurt legitimately. Dark Order, again, they're trying to help out. Sting comes out, and they all respect Sting's authority, so they all back up, stay away from the ring, and now Sting's out there to back up Darby. Again, more John Silver offense as best as he can give it. Darby, again, doing some crazy bumps. Ultimately, though, after some false finishes, actually a few that made me believe that maybe they're actually going to pull the trigger on John Silver, so good on them for doing that. Finally, Silver climbs up. He nails a leap F5, slow to the cover. Darby's foot's on the rope in the cover, so that breaks that up. And then Silver hits a power bomb, but Allen flips over for the code red. 1, 2, 3. Darby with the pinfall. Darby and Sting acknowledge John Silver, give a sign of respect. But then here comes all get out. Here comes Ty Conti. She runs out, attacks the Bunny. Or excuse me, Matt Hardy and the Bunny and the group come from ringside. They start attacking everybody. Bunny comes out and Tay Conti come out. They get into that. It just turns out into a whole, just a complete schmoz of all the baby faces and heels and the different factions that are
so
fighting here.
All right, great. So listen, that was, what the hell's wrong with my camera tonight? I'm so sorry. This was good, and this made John Silver. This is another example of, I tell fans, you can lose a match and still get over. And it's very imperative on how you get there. And they did that tonight. Again, another example of why you sign a Sting, to give the sign and seal of approval to an up-and-coming John Silver. That's exactly why you sign a Sting. He's not eating up main event real estate. He doesn't have a championship title that he's eating up. He's not pinning people with his foot on their chest in 3 seconds. Okay? He's giving acknowledgement to an up-and-coming babyface. That's as good as it gets if you're going to lose and get the rub and get over. So I'm very excited for John Silver with this, actually.
Yeah, and it did wonders for that TNT title that they haven't defended in a while. And it's great to see a match like that in the main event for the TNT title. I mean, we were just talking last week about how they protect their titles to that event, and that's an example of this, is them having a match like this and building it up in a main event 1 week out. So I really like this, and it great win for Darby. But I really, by the end of this, even though I expected Darby to win, I was like, man, John Silver should have won that match. I really did think so.
And, look, these two guys, again, Darby's bumping like crazy. Silver's probably working to hurt. I thought they were very impressive. I will be very interested, though, to watch and see how the ratings come in, because, you are taking a chance here. You got two guys. They put the smallest referee they have in there. Thank God they did, because you got two guys who are both 5'5", 5'6". They don't explode on the screen visually when you just look at them in a tail of the tape. You see the bumps, and you're like, okay. But if you're flicking channels, I'll be very interested to see. Jim Ross said on the commentary he gets more questions about Darby Allin than anybody else on his podcast. That was a good little, whether that's a shoot or whether that was a work. That was a good little thing, a nugget to say. But nonetheless, I'll be very interested to see, can AEW taking a chance on these two small unorthodox guys? Can that do a main event number?
Regardless, this proves my point earlier about Booker, and not just Booker, a lot of other people that were wrestlers like myself. From a different era, so to speak. Not that I wrestled that long ago. I retired in 2014, but like it was a much different business then. It just was. And tonight's main event is exactly where this business is at right now. It is about young, exciting, athletic as hell talents that do have charisma, that do have larger than life characters. Say what you want. John Silver is a walking one-man band when it comes to charisma and entertainment value. And Darby Allin, what a gimmick. Are you kidding me? Same thing. Charisma out the yin-yang, something different, a cool character. Everything about him screams cool. So, like, again, these are talents, and I mean no disrespect to them, that would have a hard time getting a dark match back when I was on SmackDown because of how the landscape was that different back then. Because everybody would say, what's the difference between how he looks and then the fans in the front row? What's the difference? Right? That would be the knock. Well, we've come a long way. And this being a main event match, again, they've done this many a time. It's not the biggest guys on that show that main event. And this is proof of it. This is where the business is right now.
It's not the biggest guys. The point is, it's the two of the smallest they had. That's why it was kind of notable to me.
Yeah, and while they all,
but it's the smallest they have on a small roster to begin with.
Yeah. And while they are small, they both have distinctive looks. Like Darby Allin's got that crazy face paint and that whole gimmick. And then John Silver's just this like pocket Hulk. He's this little guy, but in a big package where he's shredded and he's just somebody that you want to see. And like pro wrestling does have a big man bias, and that is, the golden ages where a lot of big guys on top and stuff like that. But there is in combat sports precedent for smaller guys drawing. You look at Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, two of the biggest stars. Like there is an idea that somebody who's small with a lot of charisma can draw money. And I think that can happen in wrestling as long as the company commits to him.
Company has to commit to him.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, again, I don't want to. I'm not poo-pooing the match. This match was very entertaining, and again, Darby bumped his ass off. John Silver looked strong. So that was Dynamite. All right, we are at our 90-minute mark, so we're going to try to wrap this up in a minute. But I want to give one news item. I'm going to say this. Each of you can give one sentence reaction. Matt, I'll start with you. News today. I got two news items. First off, there were two new Hall of Fame inductees announced for this year's class. Give me a one-sentence response to this. The great Khali is going into the Hall of Fame.
What? Are you shitting me?
Is that your sentence? What? Are you shitting me?
Fine.
Yeah, I'm just well-deserved. Okay, it's WWE Hall of Fame, well-deserved. Congratulations.
Okay, my one sentence is the year for the speeches not to be live, that's the year to put Khali in, which is this year. Okay.
How the hell is a great Khali in the Hall of Fame?
Because they need to expand in India. Okay.
That'll do it. That'll definitely do it, right? You can't just put him on a Legends contract and have him go do the marketing for you there. But you got to put him in the Hall of Fame because that's going to make people come watch the current product. Hey, did you hear? They put Great Khali in Hall of Fame. I wasn't going to go watch SmackDown here in Pune, India, but now I am. No.
All right. Inductee number 2 that was announced today in a very cool fashion.
Yikes.
Matt Morgan, in a very cool fashion today, a surprise. The Undertaker popped up on the bump this morning, sitting in his truck in his driver's seat, and he got on FaceTime with Mayor Kane Glenn Jacobs, and he informed Kane, "You're going in the Hall of Fame this year." Matt Morgan, your one sentence response.
About damn time. Definitely about damn time. One of the greatest big men of all time. No question about it.
And he legit surprised Kane. Mm-hmm. Kane was almost in tears. This was a shoot. You can tell this was not rehearsed.
He was speechless.
Love it. Awesome. Such a great guy. And more importantly, one of the greatest gimmicks and characters in WWE history. And that is not hyperbole, folks. It is. Kane is one of the coolest debuting characters and one of the coolest gimmicks, most original gimmicks, longest lasting gimmicks, and successful gimmicks that WWE has created of all time.
Absolutely. One of the greatest backstories, and then a character that just evolved and evolved and evolved. All right. So, I assume the Taker would be the one that would be inducting him.
I can see that.
Kind of sad that one's not going to get a live crowd. I joke about Khali. I'm kind of sad that one's not going to get the live crowd. All right. Well, that was all that we have tonight. A lot of stuff. AEW Dynamite, NXT. Thanks you for all the super chats. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes. Great to have Matt Morgan back. As again, we're approaching TakeOver. Is NXT going to be moving to Tuesday nights? We all wait to see, but we got a busy couple weeks coming up here as we get into Mania land. Matt Morgan, anything to plug? No, you don't have anything to plug. No. Alfred Konuwa, you find him at Forbes.com. Alfred, do you have a schedule when you write, or you just write whenever the mood hits you?
It's pretty much every day. It's like every other day, really, whenever something's happening. But I cover all the events, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, so just pretty much every day.
Follow him at This Is Nasty. Again, I'm on the Wrestling Daily tomorrow, Busted Open Friday, all that good stuff. Subscribe here.
Yes. Alfred, what's your Facebook?
It's Alfred B. Konuwa III. I'll send you a link. I sent you
to me.
Yeah, I'll text you. Okay, I friended you. We're friends on Facebook. I friended you a couple weeks ago. Oh. I'll text you a link.
All right.
I'm not Facebook friends with Matt Morgan.
Oh, then you too, please.
No. He has to earn that. You can't just give that away.
All right, very good. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And this podcast will be back Friday for SmackDown with some combination that doesn't include me. Have a good one.